Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome to today's explainer, where we're going to be tackling a highly charged but honestly incredibly fascinating scenario. Today, we're unpacking the mirror of innovation, navigating the ethics of AI. Basically, we're going to look at how we navigate these super complex ethics without, completely losing our minds or our perspective in the process. So picture this. You've just finished a presentation, you open the floor for Q&A, and a hand shoots straight up. The person stands up and just delivers this rapid-fire statement. AI is using more energy than the whole of Japan, more water than the whole of Denmark. It's being weaponized into war robots. The CEO of ChatGPT gave $25 million to MAGA. Now that is a heavy, intense series of points. It covers some massive systemic fears we're seeing right now. Everything from the undeniable strain on our water and power grids, all the way to very real concerns about autonomous warfare and heavy-hitting political donations. And my immediate reaction to that audience member, and honestly, maybe yours as well, is to take a breath, look them right in the eye, and say, fair questions. All of them. Seriously, these are not trivial concerns. They're deeply valid, serious issues that absolutely demand our attention. Acknowledging the intensity and the reality of these fears is the only way we can actually build trust and have an honest conversation. But to really understand this dynamic, we kind of need to flip the script just a little bit. So let me ask you a very direct question. Did you fly to an international conference this year? Just think about that for a second. Now, I know it might seem completely unrelated to AI, but it actually catches us off guard and strikes at the very heart of how we process ethical and environmental costs. You see, we're remarkably quick to calculate the exact cost of a new technology, but how often do we turn that mirror inward? The truth is, we make everyday energy trade-offs constantly, all the time. Yes, AI's energy footprint is massive and indisputable, but so are hospitals running their AC 24/7, or those Amazon vans delivering right to your door. Even if you're raising kids in cloth nappies or driving an EV, it doesn't automatically grant you the moral authority to lecture everyone else. We are just remarkably bad at applying the same environmental scrutiny to our own daily conveniences. And what this creates is this classic repeating pattern. Statistically speaking, the person most likely to raise concerns about the energy footprint of AI is not someone who's never been on an airplane. No, often this scrutiny flows from the haves, people with significantly higher carbon footprints, maybe rocking up those frequent flyer miles, lecturing the have-nots, who inherently have a much lower footprint. It's a really uncomfortable dynamic where the folks boarding their fourth international flight of the year are often the ones sounding the alarm on someone else's energy use. Okay, let's move to the weaponization and ethics question and see how this builds. Because war robots, regulatory capture, and massive corporate political donations are real-world issues that deserve serious, rigorous engagement. But we have to look at the fallacy in how these arguments are used. We frequently see massive corporate failures, like those war robots or political donations, used as a direct argument against everyday utility. People literally use these high-level systemic issues to argue against, say, a high school teacher using AI to get through grading essays faster, or an under-resourced clinician in Auckland just trying to clear her inbox so she can see more patients. Think about how absurd that logic is in literally any other context. We don't ban cars entirely just because some people make the terrible decision to drive drunk. We don't shut down the entire internet just because it can be used to host extremism. So why on earth would we completely ban a highly effective, genuinely helpful tool for a struggling teacher or pathologist just because of the actions of some bad actors at the top? The real solutions for AI ethics don't involve stripping useful tools from the people who need them the absolute most. The correct response here is to strictly regulate the technology. We need to set firm social norms for its use, and crucially, absolutely crucially, we must hold the powerful and the corporations accountable for their overreach. That's how you handle systemic risks without punishing everyday users. But, having said all of that, the energy debate, the corporate ethics, do you want to know the concern that actually keeps me up at night? We're going to pivot away from those systemic arguments now to introduce the hidden boss of this entire explainer, and that is the critical thinking gap. So the crucial point is understanding AI as a force multiplier. Now, a force multiplier is basically a tool that dramatically increases the effectiveness of an individual. For someone who is already a curious tinkerer, someone who naturally knows how to think and asks the next logical question, AI rewards them disproportionately. It makes them exponentially more capable. It's like rocket fuel for the curious. And this is exactly where we see the paths diverging sharply, creating a massive, widening thinking gap. In step one, you have the curious mind.
They use AI to accelerate their learning, to bounce ideas around. But in step 2, you have the passive mind. And for them, AI provides a completely frictionless path to the very first answer. They don't dig deeper, they just take it and move on. Because of this, the gap between those two minds isn't closing at all, it's widening. There is a huge looming risk of deskilling for anyone who just blindly defaults to that first-generated response.
Which brings us to a frankly heartbreaking question. Who gets left behind in that gap? Well, the kids most likely to fall into that passive group, the ones defaulting to the first answer, are the ones without resources. They are the kids without mentors, without someone at home modeling what true intellectual curiosity actually looks like. Our education systems were already failing these kids, and AI doesn't automatically fix that. Without guidance, it might actually accelerate it. To really address this, we have to look into the uncomfortable mirror. There's this psychological concept called attribution bias. It's this fascinating, kind of wild quirk where we judge other people's actions super harshly based on their outcomes or the raw social cost. But we completely excuse our own identical behaviors because, well, we know we had good intentions. We actually see this exact hypocrisy play out in medicine. For decades, veteran staff routinely copied from reference materials like Pathology outlines or the WHO Blue Book. Nobody batted an eye. Nobody called that deskilling. But the moment trainees start using new AI tools that the veterans haven't bothered to learn yet themselves, suddenly there's outrage. Suddenly it's a crisis. And this brilliantly illustrates our remarkable consistency at applying scrutiny outward rather than inward. Just look at these rapid-fire comparisons. My AI use is essential research, but your AI use is just laziness. Or my international conference flight is crucial professional development, but your diesel car is destroying the planet. We are absolute masters at defending our own intentions while entirely condemning the actions of everyone else. Ultimately, when you pull all of this together, the real challenge was never the tool itself. The true job, the ongoing responsibility we've always had, is equipping our students, our trainees, and our children to critically evaluate whatever they're reading. It genuinely doesn't matter if the source is an old textbook or random website or the latest generative AI model. Teaching them how to critically think has always been the job. AI simply makes that job a whole lot more urgent. So I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. Pick one new tool or one specific task and just try it out this week. Get curious? But more importantly, when you inevitably catch yourself judging someone else's use of technology, did you check your own first? Challenge those inherent biases. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep learning, keep asking questions, and I'll see you next time.